I want to begin this morning by reading from a passage in the Gospel of John. Many of you are familiar with this passage. It's about the disciples struggling on the Sea of Galilee. I'm reading from John's Gospel. It's a very short account here. Listen to what it says. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea rose because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near to the boat. They were frightened, but he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. It says here that Jesus had not yet come to them. And that's the phrase I want us to think about this morning. Jesus had not yet come to them. Jesus had told them to get into the boat. They didn't question the order. They obeyed it. They didn't object. After all, it was evening, and darkness was only minutes away. Jesus told them get into the boat, and so they did. And what was the result of their obedience? That evening, it says, there was a storm. They got into the boat, and a strong wind was blowing, and the waves were getting bigger and bigger. They were caught in the storm of not yet. They did exactly what Jesus said, and look what it got them. A night on a storm-tossed sea with their master somewhere on the shore. The disciples had been rowing on that sea for about 9 hours. Matthew and Mark tell us it was the 4th watch of the night when Jesus came. That's about 3 o'clock in the morning. And as I said, it was just about getting dark when they got into the boat. So it's probably a minimum of 9 hours. John tells us they rowed 3 or 4 miles. They were halfway across this lake, which is about 7 miles. And so there was no turning back. That's a long night. How many times did they search for Jesus in that darkness? How many times did they call out his name? I don't know. Why did he take so long? Why does he take so long sometimes? I don't know. Mark tells us that Jesus saw his followers struggling. One translation says they were making headway painfully. Another one says they were straining at the oars. Through the storm he saw them. That night he saw them. And like a loving father, he waited. He waited until the right time, the right moment. He waited until it was the right time to come. And then he came. Now, what makes it the right time to come? I don't know. Why did he come at the 9th hour and not the 5th hour? I can't answer that. Why does sometimes the Lord wait until we're almost out of money? Why does he wait until we've been sick for a while? Why does he wait until someone passes away to answer? I don't know those answers. I only know that his timing is always right. God's never late. He's not slow to answer. When we pray, God has 3 alternatives. He says yes, no, or wait a bit. And I don't know what the answer is. And you know that in the struggles and battles of life at the moment, he is there. As I said, that phrase says he had not yet come, but he will come. At the right time, at the right moment, Jesus comes. Standing somewhere in the shadows is a song. It says you'll find Jesus. He's the only one who cares and understands. And how do you know him? You know him by the nail prints in his hands. He will come. A lady called a widow in Luke 18 asks a judge to vindicate her. And it's a picture of prayer. And right at the end, one translation says, God will always give what is right to his people who cry to him day and night, and he will not delay. Now, we might think he does delay, but he doesn't. You ask Mary and Martha. When Lazarus died, Jesus came 4 days later. It seemed as if the timing was wrong, but the timing was right. Let me finish with this. Do you know when the people left Egypt to go to the promised land, it could have taken them 11 days on foot, but it didn't. As you know, it took them 40 years. And Deuteronomy says, it says these words, remember how the Lord led you in the desert for 40 years, taking away your pride and testing you, because he wanted to know what was in your heart. It was to teach you that a person does not live by bread alone, but by everything that God says. See what he did in the desert? He took away their pride. He tested their hearts. He proved that he would provide for them. Of course he wanted the people of Israel to reach the promised land, but he wanted them to arrive there prepared, rather than arrive soon. So when there's struggles and battles in life, you know what he asks us to do? He asks us to keep rowing, to keep going, just like the disciples. The word struggle sometimes is translated in the Bible as tormented, so that means it's not easy sometimes. It's not glamorous, but it's tough. But all I know is this morning, don't give up. Don't lay down the oars. The Lord is too wise to forget you. He's too loving to hurt you. When you can't see him, trust him. It may seem as if he's not yet there, but he will be there at the right time. Thanks for listening. See you Sunday. Bye. Lord, I just pray that you help us to keep going, to keep trusting, even when it's hard and tough, because you will come at the right time. Amen.